coming in at number 68, we have Pittsburgh Steelers right guard David DeCastro. And, to me, he's a perfect example of a guy who almost ever since he came to the league, he's been playing at a consistently high level, right? Always right around Pro Bowl, All Pro, and, just year in, year out, right? You know what to expect from him. But in a sense, I feel like that's almost hurt him, I guess. And some people are probably like, what the heck are you talking about? Well, when you do the same thing over and over and over again, it seems like people start to appreciate it less and less and less. And I think DeCastro is almost a victim of that in a sense, as I was looking at some rankings the other day, talking about, who are the top 15 offensive linemen going into 2020, and he wasn't one of the top 15, nor one of the 5 honorable mentions yet, like Ali Marpet was. And I agree that Marpet has a bunch of potential, but it's almost like we're trying to find the next DeCastro while we actually still have the David DeCastro playing at an incredibly high level, and I think we just need to appreciate him and give him the respect he deserves for that. So hopefully if you are one of those people who are starting to forget just how great this man is, I'll be able to convince you by the end of this video why he is not only one of the top 100 players in the league, but why I think he is number 68. And first things first, in terms of, just what makes DeCastro so good, to me, you've got to start with his mobility, right? As there's very few offensive linemen, if any, in the entire NFL that are better working in space than he is. And, whether that's on a trap block, wrap block, when he's climbing to the second level, or in this instance, just utilizing that short area quickness at the line of scrimmage to gain the upper hand on a defender, right? And that's exactly what you're going to see here. So what he's going to do on this play is utilize what's called a reach block. And a reach block is essentially when you're most typically on the backside of a defender and you're trying to work to their front side to cut them off from making a play in that direction. So just for an example, Matt Filer here, if he was going to try and reach Christian Wilkins, he'd be trying to work like this, to Wilkins' front side right shoulder, so that way he can prevent him from flowing onto this play going towards the offense's left. So as you can notice with DeCastro, though, he doesn't have anybody right there, head up on him. He doesn't have anybody lined up as a 2-eye just inside of him, or a 1-tech even between he and the center. The nearest defender that he's going to reach on this run to the left would be the nose tackle, right? Which is, I believe, Dolphins nose John Jenkins on this one. Well, what you're going to see is this is almost an impossible task for very many offensive linemen. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, this is an incredibly tough block, right? But it's one that DeCastro can make with ease on a pretty consistent basis, as he is just so explosive and he does have such great short area quickness. And that's exactly what you're going to see here, is look at how off the snap he's able to just so quickly cover a good bit of ground, as he's going to utilize some just quick choppy steps, kind of utilizing a bucket step a little bit to gain some ground, gain some leverage, and then he's going to work into the line of scrimmage right into Jenkins, and then leverage that left hand, that inside hand, to essentially just wall Jenkins off and give Benny Snell on this play a lane here, if only everybody else on the field was doing their job. And, what I kind of like is you're going to see here, as I was mentioning, Matt Filer, you're going to see him try and reach Christian Wilkins, and you're going to see just how tough a reach block is, right? Christian Wilkins, he ends up making the play, and that man was only a couple inches removed from Filer, right? But it is so tough to cut off a guy who already, off the snap, he's either working forward or, he's reading the play going in that direction, so he's kind of flowing with the ball. It's so tough to get that leverage on him and kind of get inside of him, right? Well, you saw it with Filer. It's difficult there. Imagine doing it to a guy who's not only, one gap removed, but a whole man removed. And that's exactly what we saw DeCastro do. And that's one of the things that just makes him so special to me. And here's another great example, again, against the Dolphins, where what you're going to see is him reach Robert Nkemdiche here, the Dolphins defensive tackle, where, Marquise Pouncey, he's going to help him out a little bit. They're working a combo block here between Nkemdiche and number 55. So what you're going to see is Pouncey, he's going to stand him up a little bit with his shoulder and just get him kind of off balance enough to where David DeCastro, he's going to be able to slip in there underneath and reach him, right? Well, another thing that I love about this play is, as Filer, again, kind of fails to reach John Jenkins, look at how David DeCastro, he's able to get that left hand onto John Jenkins, prevent him from coming over the top and making the play, while he's still able to keep that right hand right in the sternum of Nkemdiche. And as a result, James Conner is able to bust a huge gain right up that hole. It's just fantastic plays like these that I feel like go unnoticed for a lot of offensive linemen, but even more so David DeCastro, because he is doing them on a pretty frequent basis. And I know you guys are probably sick and tired of seeing these already, but I can't stress enough just how impressive so many of these blocks are by DeCastro, simply as a result of his short area quickness. My college team, for example, I can tell you from experience that we run tons of inside and outside zone where we're trying to reach guys and cut off guys on that backside. Well, it's not easy, especially if you're going up against a defensive lineman who's really worth anything. They know that, okay, I have to maintain this gap integrity, and that's all they're going to fight for. So even though you might know the snap count, they have leverage on you pre-snap, right? And as soon as you take one step, they should be reading and reacting and flowing with the play and working to prevent you from gaining leverage on them, right? Well, DeCastro here, he's not even going to do it on the backside. He's going to do it on the front side against Michael Pierce here, lined up as a 3-tech. And this is so impressive to me because, James Conner, he's going to come right across the formation here. It's an outside zone play to DeCastro's side. And if he allows any penetration at all, this play is dead, right? Because, the handoff point's right there. James Conner, he's coming right across. If Michael Pierce is in the backfield, the play is dead, huge loss. Well, against Dave DeCastro, it's not dead at all because look at how DeCastro is just so easily able to, off the snap, just gain leverage and get that B gap back from Pierce. And I'll run it back for you guys to where, again, what you're going to see is Michael Pierce, his only responsibility is maintain this gap right here. Look at how DeCastro, he essentially is just able to wrap around Pierce. He's able to kind of circle the wagons, kind of set the anchor down and flip his hips as he is able to create this B gap essentially. As no, Pierce doesn't move very much, but look at how DeCastro does because he's so quick in short areas as he's able to get his hips around and cut off Pierce from making this play on the front side. Unfortunately, we have some other missed blocks by the Steelers offensive line, and as a result, it's not a big gain, but if DeCastro's block was the only one that mattered, this would be 6 points because it's such an impressive block that he does so well on a regular basis. And next up, as we transition into DeCastro as a pass blocker, one thing I want to talk about that is so impressive to me are his hands, right? As one of my old offensive line coaches, they used to say that when you're throwing your hands in pass pro, you need to abide by the 3 Fs, right? You need to throw them fast, you need to throw them firm, and you need to be physical with them. And obviously somebody probably should have told him that physical starts with a P, but the point remains. And DeCastro, he checks all those boxes as what you're going to see is he just does such a great job of, on a consistent basis, locating his hands right in his opponent's chests. And what that forces them to do essentially is resort to their kind of plan B, or that second pass rush move, that counter that they were not going to come with initially. They were probably going to, in this case, Donald, he was going to try and swipe DeCastro's hands away and then probably rip or club through this B gap. But what you're going to see is he's able to slap DeCastro's left hand away. But look at how, because David has that right hand up and under right in Donald's chest, how he's not able to do anything else after that. And as a result, he kind of just has to transition into a lazy bull rush in which he generates really no pressure on Mason Rudolph, and the Steelers get an easy first down. It's just plays like these that are so impressive because, if you trust PFF and their statistics, for example, DeCastro, he's only allowed 2 sacks over the last 3 seasons, and a lot of it has to do with his hands. And here's another really good example. This time, no, it's not against Aaron Donald, but it's going to be up against Sam Hubbard of the Cincinnati Bengals, who he's often an edge guy, right? Well, now they're putting him up on the interior where he is quicker and faster than very many, and if not all, of the guys that DeCastro is used to going up against, right? So what you're going to see is how DeCastro uses that hand placement to neutralize that speed and that explosiveness. As what you're going to see is Sam off the snap, his plan A is just going to essentially be to try and cross DeCastro's face and beat him to this A gap, right? Well, watch how DeCastro, he's just going to mirror and match Sam, and then boom, he's going to get this right hand up and under into his chest, and from there, all Hubbard has left is he has to counter back or bubble to an edge, right? And he's going to try and come back outside to this B gap again. But by this time, again, DeCastro, he has those hands firmly in Hubbard's chest. He's not really able to generate any pressure. And then you see James Washington downfield making insane plays and scoring a huge touchdown. Obviously, no, DeCastro didn't have a direct impact on the TD specifically, but he was kind of the highlight behind the highlight in a sense, as he did have great hand placement that prevented a potential pressure and ultimately sack that could have stopped this play dead in its tracks. And next up, I know I alluded to it a little bit on that last play, but DeCastro, he has some of the best footwork of any interior offensive lineman in the league, right? He's just so smooth transitioning from kick slides to power steps or power steps to kick slides, whatever way you want to go against him as a defensive lineman, whether it's from that B gap to A gap to B gap, et cetera, he's great at just mirroring you and covering you up. As on this play, what you're going to see is Sam Hubbard, again, he's going to try and attack DeCastro and go across his face. So look at how he does a great job of kind of power stepping down, closing that off, and preventing any penetration there. But then what you're going to see is Geno Atkins, he's going to be coming over across the top of Hubbard as he's going to try and sink into this B gap. Look how DeCastro, he just so smoothly kick sides back out and covers him up, preventing a potential pressure on that play. And here's another great example. It's actually the same twist from the same game, right? As what you're going to have again is Sam Hubbard. He's going to try and crash down into that A gap hard off the snap. We'll watch how DeCastro, again, he just so fluidly and so easily reads and reacts to what Hubbard does, and he's going to pinch off that potential penetration there enough for the center to to pick up Hubbard, and then he's going to kick back out right into Geno Atkins as he prevents a potential pressure that could have affected this throw here, even though obviously the throw was bad enough. I'm sure a sack would have been even worse, right? And here's one more great example where what you're going to see is Michael Brockers of the Rams here. He's going to take a couple steps upfield towards this B-gap. We'll look at how DeCastro, he's just so ready with his kick sides working out towards Brockers, cutting off any penetration there. And then once Brockers commits to crossing his face into that A-gap, look at how just fluidly and really how agile DeCastro is working from that kick side to power step, as again, he just prevents any penetration. And this time we get a good throw behind it, and ultimately James Washington's able to pick up a first down. Just plays like these are so impressive because, no, he's not the highlight player on this play. Obviously, it's going to be Washington, but, without his block, is this highlight play possible? Probably not, right? Because if he just allows Brockers to penetrate in that A-gap, he's going right into Mason Rudolph and probably getting a sack. Well, against David DeCastro, again, 2 sacks out of 3,000 snaps, you're probably not getting a sack because this man is just so effective at mirroring and matching you with his footwork. And I've used the word a couple times now, so I did want to just toss one slide, one good example of it in here. I just want to talk about DeCastro's ability to mirror and, essentially just replicate whatever the defender's doing and do it himself, right? And as a result, he's kind of countering their counters. And what you're going to see here is watch how futile Brandon Williams' efforts are as he tries to continue to just work from edge to edge to edge. Well, DeCastro, every time Williams commits to, I'm going to work to the right, DeCastro's right there. Every time he works back, DeCastro's right there. And what's that force you to do? It forces you to keep countering, keep bubbling it, and ultimately be completely irrelevant to the play as we're able to get a great touchdown off the back of it simply because, again, there was no pressure. It was a clean pocket. And no, did DeCastro, did he have the highlight play? No, but again, he had a great block that contributed a lot to making this play possible. And next up, as we transition into DeCastro as a run blocker now, I wanted to bring back up his mobility and kind of talk about him not only in terms of that short area quickness, but now more just that explosive athleticism as he's working in space and clearing massive paths for his running backs behind him. So here you're going to have him pulling around that left edge, and just look at the acceleration, look at the speed, look at him put on the jets as he just plows through Raekwon McMillan on contact there and gives James Conner just enough space to get the Steelers first down. Just plays like these are so impressive because, this is old school football, and DeCastro, even though he might not be the absolute strongest in the league at the point of attack, and he can pave the way like very few can on plays like these where you put him in space around the edge and just let him roam. And here's another great example. This time it's going to be him pulling around the right edge opposed to the left edge. But again, you're going to see just how fluid he is in terms of opening up his hips and turning and going as he is able to not only get a nice block on Sean Williams there, but such a nice block that he's able to catch that other linebacker in the wash, and as a result, he's able to, along with Marquise Pouncey on the trap. I don't want to put the play solely on DeCastro. It was he and Pouncey who opened up a huge lane, and as a result, give James Conner just massive room to work with it, and really just force this massive play here by the Steelers as they take it from one side of the 50 to the other simply off the back of their two former All-Pro linemen. And I know I changed the tagline to lead blocker here, but essentially it's the same thing, man. It's just him in space, paving the way for whatever running back the Steelers are going to put behind him, and he just does such a great job at it. As you see him here work around that first Bengals defender, plant the other one, and just put him inside the 5-yard line, really on his back. It's just so impressive, and really probably a major reason that they got rid of Le'Veon Bell, right? It doesn't matter who you have in the backfield, whether it's Le'Veon, James Conner, Jalen Samuels, Benny Snell, or in this place, Kareth White. It doesn't matter who you put out there. When you give them that much space to roam, they're professionals. They're going to be able to do some damage, right? And that's a huge part of this Steelers offense, just putting DeCastro in space with the running back behind him, and good things are going to happen more often than not. And here's the last one, I swear. It's going to be him working around this left edge again, where you're going to see he's going to stumble a little bit, but he just does such a great job of regaining that balance and then latching on to the nearest defender, in this case Eric Rowe, and just showing off great acceleration through contact as he continues to work Rowe upfield and ultimately kind of wills the Steelers to a first down play here. And it's just stuff like this that's so impressive because, again, you'll see pretty much every offensive lineman pull well every now and then, but DeCastro is probably the best in the league, if we're just being completely honest, and a lot of it comes down to plays like that. And in my intro to mobility, I said DeCastro is great at trapping, wrapping, and climbing, right? Well, now that we've covered those first two, here is the third one, climbing. And DeCastro, he's one of the league's best at it, as he just does a great job of always knowing how much time he has to get to these second-level guys to where he's going to be able to create a hole behind him. As what you're going to see here is it's a draw play, right? So what he's going to do is on this combo block between him and Pouncey on DJ Jones and Quan Alexander, we know he really puts a firm shoulder right into Jones, stands him up just enough so Pouncey can slide in there, kind of reach him, cut him off, and then he's able to, just as that handoff is happening, he does such a great job of accelerating, through Jones into Quan as he really paves the way for this to be a first down for the Steelers. Just plays like these are so impressive because, again, it's just, you see how perfectly timed up this play is. Once he kind of gets off of DJ Jones, the ball is being handed off, and now he's working right into Quan. It's just plays like these that come with time, and obviously DeCastro haven't been in the league since 2012. He has the timing down pat, and he has the athleticism to back it up as well, and that's why he's so good at making plays like these, climbing to the second level. And here's just a beautiful play by DeCastro here, as what you're going to see is, unlike the last one where he was working a combo block with Pouncey, you're going to see him evade Pouncey's man, evade Matt Filer's man, as he just jumps through this little keyhole here between the Browns' defensive tackles right into Jamie Collins and cuts him off for making that play on the front side. It's just so impressive because, you'll see it on the other view. DeCastro, he does not have leverage on this play at all. Jamie Collins, he's actually going to start off lined up inside of DeCastro, and that makes this block almost impossible for many offensive linemen because, again, really, as soon as he takes a step forward, most D linemen, they're going to get hands on DeCastro and try and hold him up at the line of scrimmage. Well, DeCastro is so quick off the snap that he's able to just completely avoid Larry Ogunjobi's hands entirely, and he's able to take just a beautiful angle right off of that one tech's butt as he flies up there and almost gets a reach fit right on Jamie Collins at that second level and puts the Steelers offense in a third and manageable position. Just plays like these are so impressive because, again, I can tell you from experience, this is a very tough block to make. It'd be tough if Collins was lined up backside here, just beating him to that spot, but especially with him front side, that's a block that very few guys can make consistently, and Dave DeCastro is most certainly one of those guys. And by no means is DeCastro the biggest or strongest guard in the NFL, but he does a great job of combining his kind of unique athleticism with his strength to be one of the most effective run blockers in the league, right? And that's exactly what you're going to see here, where Matt Filer, he's going to set up Jordan Phillips with a nice little shoulder block to kind of stand him up and let DeCastro in there to reach him. But as you'll see, DeCastro, he's only kind of holding Jordan Phillips off with that firm, strong outside arm. And that's pretty impressive in my eyes because that's a 300-pound plus defensive lineman that DeCastro was able to maintain outside leverage on simply due to that hand placement and strength with his body. And as you're going to see here, like, look at the position that he gets Phillips in. It's to the point where Tremaine Edmonds, he essentially cuts him off from the play as well and forces him to kind of bounce back inside. And if anybody else made their blocks, this is a touchdown alley that we have here between Filer and DeCastro. Well, unfortunately, obviously, there's a fumble that goes on. The Bills get the ball. But again, if it was up to DeCastro's block, this is 6 points because again, just that unique combination of athleticism and strength that opens up lanes like these. And in terms of his power at the point of attack, again, DeCastro just does such a great job of putting his body in the right position and then leveraging that strength that he has to force guys out of their gaps. And that's exactly what you're going to see here, where Jamie Collins, the middle linebacker, he is responsible for this A gap. Well, look at how off the snap, you just see DeCastro get up to him, climb to him quickly before he's able to fill, take that firm, strong right hand, get it right in Collins' chest, and then leverage him to really the inside and give Benny Snell just a nice lane to get the Steelers off their own goal line and, into really the field of play there. And here's a nice play where you're going to see DeCastro and Filer both combo block down onto this 3 technique, and then DeCastro's going to break off into the filling linebacker. But just look at the movement that they're able to generate on this right side as they just open up a massive lane there for the Steelers running back to pick up a huge chunk play. Just so impressive because, again, it doesn't matter who you're playing at running back. In this case, it's Benny Snell. Anybody can run through that hole. And you're just going to see him and Filer, look at him get into Joey Bosa, stand him up, and then break off to that filling linebacker, generate a bunch of movement, a massive hole, and a huge gain off the back. But just so impressive plays like these that DeCastro is making along with some of those Steelers offensive linemen with him on a week-to-week basis that really make him so effective and make this team's running attack so effective year in and year out. And last but not least, I did want to include 2 quick little plays of him finishing on here because I know everybody loves watching O-line videos for guys getting pancakes. Well, no, to me, DeCastro is not – this isn't his specialty, but don't think that he's not getting them either because he will from time to time, but he's more more known to me in my eyes for just consistently doing his job on a snap in, snap out basis, right? So here's one of him going up against Jamie Collins. I think I said Jamie Collins was on that Browns clip earlier. That was Mac Wilson, my bad. This one's Collins here, regardless, and DeCastro, he points him on the ground regardless of what team he is. He just drops him like a sack of potatoes, and that's exactly what you see here. It's just a simple down block. We'll look at how he uses Collins' momentum against him, just stands him up and tosses him down quick and easy. And this last one's not nearly as quick nor as easy because instead of Jamie Collins, a linebacker, it's going to be against Andrew Billings, a defensive tackle, right? And, if you're familiar with Billings at all, you know that he's one of the absolute biggest guys in the league, one of the strongest guys in the league, an absolute space eater. We'll look at how DeCastro just eats him up, right? As he gets hands inside, just kind of motors him into the ground over top one of his teammates, which kind of trips him up a little bit. But regardless, Andrew Billings, he has his back flat on the ground at the end of the play, and DeCastro, he's left with the pancake, right? Just plays like these are they're impressive, obviously, but, you see the gain that they get on a play like this opposed to some of those nice blocks he had earlier. Well, I'd much rather him just effectively reach a guy and get him out of his gap and maybe get some other defenders caught in the wash opposed to just dominating a guy one-on-one. But regardless, a win is a win, and DeCastro, he gets a bunch of wins, and that's why he is number 68 on my mic'd up top 100. And as always, if you guys did enjoy this video today, make sure not only leave a thumbs up, but also leave a comment in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback on my evaluation and ranking of DeCastro, but I'd also love to hear some of your evaluations and some of your rankings of him as well. As an offensive lineman, I could talk O-line play until I'm blue in the face, but if you guys have any questions, any comments, any concerns, just let me know, and we'll have a good discussion in the comments down below. If you thought DeCastro was too high, let me know why. If you thought he was too low, just tell me down below. I guess we'll rhyme there to end off the video. But with that being said, all else I got for you guys is if you did enjoy this video, make sure you subscribe. He's number 68. That means we have 67 more. We're going to have, if you're a Steelers fan, a couple more Steelers. If you're just a football fan, I'm sure we'll have some of your favorite teams and players represented as well. So with that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm mic'd up, and I'm mic'ing out. Peace, guys.